Where is your gun now?
You need a gun because you're weak. You need a ball because your voice is small. Enough is enough.
You've probably heard about this Supreme Court's ruling on the definition of the word woman. This will have some real serious implications. It will have some consequences. But I want to tell you one thing. They can make their laws. They can specify their definitions. They can take away my rights. But there's one thing that they'll never be able to take from me. And that's who I am. I'm a trans woman and I'm proud, and they'll never be able to take that from me.
What the heck is wrong with this dude?
We have tried to talk separately, but we're not ourselves.
Clearly,
Yes.
speaking in unison is a thing that you do. How?
Yes, that's right.
How does this happen?
Well, it just happens, and we don't know why. But we have tried to talk separately, but we're not ourselves. It's not us, and it's very hard. And yeah, and we don't care about the critics. We tell people if you can't stand listening to us, simply just switch off the TV.
Do not switch off the TV.
Guys,
do
no.
not.
Do not say that. Okay, please, no.
I want to be clear on that. But sorry, how does it feel? Paula, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you only to answer it, Paula.
Okay, well, I'll try and answer it as best as I can.
Okay, I can see Bridget trying to speak.
I also think it didn't feel right.
It's so... how do you know? What is going on that means that when one of you speaks, the other one just instinctively has the same thing to say? What's going on?
Oh, guess what? I wish I could answer that question. It just happened.
Society is really creating some weird people. These people weren't even synchronizing their speaking. One of the twins was just finishing the other one's sentences, and then randomly they might say the same things, but cannot be real. This is stupid. These people need help.
Being a woman in 2025 is so hard, honestly. Having to deal with the patriarchy, misogyny, and sexism from all men is outrageous. Us men should be doing more. We need to fight for women's rights. Please sleep with me.
There's always that one guy who's a male feminist.
Hands up! Hands up for women's bodies! Hands up women's bodies! Hands up for public schools! Hands up for the schools! Hands up for Constitution! Hands up the Constitution! Hands up our democracy! Hands up our democracy!
Did she really just bring out her child to brainwash him into believing the nonsense that she believes in? You have gray hair and you're still stupid enough to brainwash your kids into believing stupid things, yet you're the same people who say people should be able to do what they want and they should have free choice. You're also the same group of people who will say that your kid can decide their gender, yet here you are forcing your kid to engage in the same nonsense you're engaging in. Make it make sense.
Not to trigger you guys again, but with the 11-year-old thing.
Oh my god.
I had my first job when I was 11 years old. Some people tell me it doesn't count because it was a but
Okay, I don't think we should talk about this topic.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to talk about
That's
that.
not, you guys are haters.
No,
I think it's
definitely
like,
not a
wait,
hater.
hold on.
Definitely not a hater.
Perfectly
On that
social.
topic, definitely not a hater.
Haters.
Hold on.
Haters.
Stop. I think it's perfectly socially acceptable to be like, I think 11 years old is too young to be, even if it's like the same age, too young to be like having sex or doing anything sexual.
Let's talk about now, because the consensual 11-year-old exploring of each other is too much for everyone to handle.
You're 25. I don't think that's consensual.
You're saying some
I think
crazy
it's-
shit right now.
That is not even you. That's what's bothering me.
Stop.
Bro, you're being goofy, man. Do you think people believe that? I'm just saying.
Believe what?
Whatever, just go on.
Cool. We don't want to talk about your situation when you were 11.
Yeah, people really need to help me understand this phenomenon of women more than likely making sexual jokes when it comes to comedy.
Men can't control their emotions and abuse women.
Men can't control their emotions?
Yes, and abuse women.
You seem like you can't control them.
Excuse me, I'm angry. I'm angry and I'm loud. That's not emotional. That's called being persistent and passionate. And all the football coaches who yell at their little boys and say that's not emotional.
Okay.
That's
Well,
a
look,
man.
I want to say I'm pro-life.
Testosterone is what makes you illogical and emotional.
He can't control his emotions. Anger is not an emotion. We're doomed.
This comment reads, does your wife's boyfriend enjoy these videos? Well, first of all, I don't have a wife. I have a spouse. They're non-binary, and we don't use gendered language in this household. Their partner is also non-binary and doesn't use gendered language. So, yes, to answer your question, my spouse's partner does enjoy these videos. In fact, my spouse's partner and I are very good friends. I've known them longer than my spouse has. Me, my spouse's partner, and my spouse's partner's partner were all in Scotland not that long ago for a lovely vacation. It's called ethical non-monogamy, or polyamory. Maybe you've heard of it. I don't know why you think this is an insult in any way, shape, or form. Listen, just because your sense of masculinity is so fragile that it would lose out to tissue paper and durability test doesn't mean mine is. Anyway, have a day.
What do you think about biological men competing in women's sports?
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. How many, how many biological men are competing in sports? Like, I think it's like 20? This is an example of culture war and conservatives using the house slaves versus the field slaves.
Of course, someone who believes in the nonsense this guy believes in is still carrying around and wearing a face nappy.
Trans girls are girls. And for all the folks that are so concerned, thank you for your concern about women for the first time that I've seen. I don't know about y'all. I don't know who's been to gym class lately, but girls, even if you only believe in two genders, I've played co-ed sports all the time.
Yeah, you can say all the words you want to say, but you still believe in stupidity.
As a woman doesn't make you a woman.
I trust people to be an expert in their own gender. If someone has been living as a woman for 15 years...
What does that mean, living as a woman?
Well, it means what I've said.
Well, what does it mean? What does it mean to live as a woman?
I don't really know how I can answer the question again. If a trans woman has
wear
been...
dresses, you read certain books, you like something, what does it mean? I mean,
Well,
not every woman lives wearing a dress, not every woman wears makeup.
No, indeed, and that's a much larger question about kind of gender discourse and feminism more widely. But my point is that if someone is a woman, has lived as a woman for many years, needs support because they've experienced misogynistic abuse, I want them to be able to access that support. It's as simple as that.
Well, then I guess it's the case that she trusts that if I say I'm a white woman, I am a white woman.
Do you think that white people should pay reparations?
I have never said that, sir.
Yes, you did. You said it in January of 2020. You tweeted, yes, the North, yes, all of us, yes, America, yes, our original collective sin and unpaid debt, yes, reparations, yes, on this day.
I don't believe that was a reference to fiscal reparations, sir.
What kind of reparations was it a reference to?
I think it was just a reference to the idea that we all owe much to the people who came before us.
That's a bizarre way to frame what you tweeted.
Stop it. Get some help.
Okay, what's the privilege that men have that women don't?
Men have the privilege of feeling more safe than women.
I knew she was going to say that.
And I do believe that, especially like you mentioned, in a more male-dominated field or where these traditional views of men and women do exist, women are not taken seriously than men are, and I feel that that is a privilege that men do have. Yes.
Okay, the first one is wrong because men are overwhelmingly the victims of violent crime, not women. Like, you're like 10 times more likely as a man to be the victim of violent crime. The second thing you mentioned about being taken seriously, I would argue that women get more opportunities, at least, so they can at least be taken seriously. You can go ahead and get into certain rooms that I can't because you're a woman, and then you at least get the opportunity to prove yourself that you're not a bimbo.
Yep.
But whereas the man doesn't even get the opportunity.
What are your thoughts on conservatism?
Wholeheartedly conservatives.
All of them?
For the most part, yes.
Okay. Hey, fair enough. Do you believe that conservatives are a danger to society?
No, but I think the way that they think of things, like the way that it should be, I think that's a danger to society. Not them personally, because a lot of conservatives tend to be hypocritical and live the way that they want to live, but judge others with how they're living.
It's always the Michelin man of the group that has the most to say.
If you're cis and you won't date trans folks, you're transphobe. Now if that made you mad, maybe it's your prejudices that you need to probe. No matter the reasons you've got, you're reducing us to when we disrobe. And that kind of thinking ain't sophisticated, it's more like microbes. I know you think you've got good reasons, maybe you do. Trauma's real, it's hard to heal, I'd never say that that isn't true. But transphobia is transphobia, and you won't get a pass when we're through. We're human beings, not sex organs, cis lesbians, I'm talking to you.
So now they're singing songs to try and get us to believe in their Santa Claus delusions. Right.
Let's talk about voice training before you go on hormones. Hi, I'm Isabella. I use they, she pronouns, and I'm a gender-affirming voice teacher. And this is an easy answer. Yes, you can. But that also depends on if you're going on estrogen or testosterone. Because if you're going on estrogen, you are going to need to voice train regardless if you want a voice that sounds different. And that's because estrogen doesn't do anything for your voice. Now, if you're going on testosterone, that's a whole different story. And that's because testosterone will change your voice. So today I'm going to show you an exercise that can actually help you voice train before you go on T. What I want you to do is I want you to initiate a yawning sensation. And as you're yawning, I want you to make the sound of a very deep huh. So try this with me. Huh. So now that we've done that, I want you to try to speak after you do the big huh sound. We're going to say, I'm really tired. Okay, so we're going to go, I'm really tired. So now we're going to try to speak with that much space. Okay, so we go, I'm really tired, so I should probably go to bed soon. It's going to make you feel like you're speaking like Kronk from Emperor's New Groove.
There is no way in blue hell you actually got up on camera and decided to speak the nonsense you just spoke thinking you actually said something of value. You believe in complete buffoonery, and the sooner this ideology has been eradicated from society, the better society will be. And you guys can help me at least not make my points and make me seem like I'm right all the time, but you once again have the bull nose ring piercing and the stupid hair colors. Wow, you did a lot for society. Hooray!
Transgenderism in public look like to you?
It's allowing men to be treated for the purposes of the law as women. It's men taking 900 sports trophies from women in recent years. And
they didn't take 900.
They took 900. There's a report just came out from the United Nations, actually. 890 trophies and medals across 600 women who were competitors, across 29 different sports and 400 competitions. That came out like yesterday.
And they deserved them.
It didn't happen and they deserve them. Okay, that is the logic I hear from the pro-trans crowd.
Yeah, we really shouldn't be surprised anymore when there's a group of people who believe you can change from one gender to another. There wouldn't be a surprise, or there shouldn't be a surprise, that they're also the same group who just disregard facts.
Do you feel comfortable with me using, female toilets?
Oh my God, of course.
But does that depend on me having had surgery?
No.
What would you say? I don't want to dwell on this for too long, but what would you say to those people who would have an issue sharing a public bathroom with me?
Oh my goodness. I would say that's another human being. How can you... I understand fearing what you don't know. I understand kind of being like, oh, I don't really understand about this, and I've never met someone, but go and speak. Go learn, go speak, go look into the whites of someone's eyes that's had this experience, and tell me after you've done that you do not see or feel their humanity or understand their story, or that there's any part of you that feels that it's okay to make that person not feel included. It's making people feel not included, I think, it's just such a painful, awful thing to do.
So I'll basically shorten up this whole video for everyone who watched. Emma Watson basically wants men to be able to be in the same spaces as her. There you go.
Hi everybody, hope you're bearing up as best you can. Obviously this is a terrifying, scary moment, and lots of trans people and our families and friends are extremely frightened and worried at the moment. So here's 5 things that I would recommend that you do. First of all, if you have official ID, driving license, passport, those types of things, renew them as soon as possible. Things are changing at such a rapid speed here, we just don't know what's round the corner. Second, do not vote Labour in the upcoming council elections. All people need to send Labour a message that this retrograde step, which is going to be humiliating, it's discriminatory, it puts people in danger, not just trans people, people who don't look atypically female, that it's evil, it's retrograde. So do not vote Labour. Thirdly, write to your MP. Let them know how unacceptable this is. There are template letters out there if you're not great at writing letters, but if you can and give your personal experiences, please do so. Fourthly, carry on using the facilities that you always have been. This is so important. It's really important that we do not accept this and we do not conform. It's in breach of European human rights, and this case will go to the European Court of Human Rights. So carry on. If you are challenged or even stopped, contact the Good Law Project and they will record the incident. Next, just take care of yourself. Obviously this is it's very scary and it's very stressful, but surround yourself with friends and just take care. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Yeah, you said a whole bunch of nothing to tell us that you are still a man and you just want to go into women's spaces because, you know, you're a weird person.